stories.
Well,
Be here all night listening to your stories.
no, but each birth is a different birth.
Huh.
You know? It's never the same.
It's never what you expect.
No, it's not. And I think about you coming over to the house and talking about this lady was doing the breathing technique or put herself in a trance.
Oh, that's
we
right.
were
Yeah.
gonna do hypno babies, but
Yeah.
that didn't work out very well because it's really time consuming. You have to listen to the CDs for half an hour every single night, and then as I was getting into them, they were like, "Now practice this technique 5 times every
And
single
you
day."
would go to sleep.
Yeah, and it put me to sleep every time. So we really were unprepared for labor. We didn't take Lamaze.
You didn't do Lamaze, holy crap.
We
I'm
were going
shocked.
to do this hypno babies thing. What I really wanted to do was Bradley method classes, but they were
What is that?
It's a husband coach childbirth, and they teach you, I don't know exactly, but more relaxation techniques than Lamaze does. A little bit in between hypno babies and Lamaze. But we didn't take any of that because I was working on my dissertation, and I was going to just do the hypno babies because you could do it at home. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
just ran out of time. So I went in there
This is
with
definitely going to be
no
interesting.
tools. No
Well,
tools.
no, actually, there's
no.
a reason why it got easy.
Yeah, there were no tools, and I planned to have a natural childbirth, but then yeah. So what happened was I went and got examined on Monday, and she checked me, and I was 1 centimeter.
Right. Well, you could be that for a month. though.
Yeah, right. So she said, but it could happen any day, or it could be
Right.
after your due date, or whatever. But I think when she checked me, either it's a coincidence or she
It kind of
caused
stirred things up.
Yeah, it caused something to happen because a few hours later I was going to the bathroom and a big old mucus plug fell out. It was disgusting. It was like your textbook
Right.
mucus plug. And I was like, oh, crap. And then that evening I started feeling like just not pain, but my uterus was contracting. You could feel it get hard.
Like Braxton Hicks?
Yeah, I
that's what we
thought
thought
it
it
was
was.
Braxton Hicks, so then I was like, Jason, feel this. He was like, oh, it's hard there. And it's like, I wonder what's happening. Or is this like false labor, or are we going to have a baby soon? We thought it was just Braxton Hicks. And the mucus plug, I looked online and it said that could fall out a day before or a month before.
Right,
so
right.
So it really was no indication that
Right.
we were going to have a baby. So that was Monday night, and then all day Tuesday I was like, well, I'm still feeling these contractions. And they weren't like a half an hour apart or anything.
Right.
They were like 5 to 7 minutes apart the whole time. And but they weren't painful.
Right.
And all day Tuesday they weren't really that painful. I could feel them finally. Before it was just I could touch my stomach and know that I was having them, but the all day Tuesday I could feel them, and they were kind of in the lower abdomen and stuff, and then some of them were radiating from my back, and that's more of an indication that it's labor and not Braxton Hicks. But I
Well,
was
could
like,
you just get up and do? And
yeah, in
clean
fact
house
I
and
was
eat
like,
and-
yeah, I was
Oh,
like
yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to finish my dissertation because if this is I
Right.
still had a few edits, like a few more hours to work on it, and so that's what I did. I worked on my dissertation all day that day and got it done and sent it to my advisor, and then Jason came home, and we had house guests this
Yeah.
week. They're friends from London, and so they were here, and we were talking to them about their day and stuff, and the contractions were getting stronger and a little bit more uncomfortable, but because we had guests I didn't want to sit there and say, oh, there's another one, you know, and that was a little more painful, so I went and took a bath, and but I was starting to figure it out that they were getting worse and that.
Another thing you did that day too was you got the car seat inspected,
Oh yeah.
which
Oh,
is
cool.
very timely.
So yeah. So
So you did
it was a
everything that
good
needed
day.
to be done
that day, yeah, right in time.
Your dissertation and the car seat.
And then when I told Jason that I needed to go to bed early because I wasn't feeling very well, and so we went to bed, and I slept through all of the contractions until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then they started getting to where I couldn't
So you
sleep
slept.
through them anymore. Yep, and then
You got up and took a bath.
I got up and took a bath.
Another bath.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they help. It helped having the warm water. And when I got out of the bath, Jason woke up and I said, I think we're gonna have a baby today. they're getting worse. And
she usually wakes
Were
up.
you flying around the house like, oh my God?
No, Jen's so prepared that everything was already packed, and so there's a lot of things in life where I don't do anything because I know Jen's already got it under control, and that's one of those things. There was only a few things I wanted to take care of, and that was things that I could do while we were at the hospital, like work stuff I wanted to take care of. But yeah, the bags were already packed, and
Yeah.
so there was no rushing around, and she wasn't in that much pain.
No, it wasn't. It was I could breathe through them, and they were.
And what about your water? Did your water break
Well,
or
that's
anything?
coming.
No.
Yeah.
No, my water hadn't broken yet, but another mucus plug had come out at some point. I don't remember when, but
Yeah, maybe
I had a
think
lot.
3, or maybe one
yeah, and then
hospital,
later, yeah, I had a lot of mucus plugs.
too. Well, you had one. It seemed to divide up a bit.
Yeah, so we started timing them, and they were like, I always heard, come to the doctors when they're 5 minutes apart for 2 hours, and
Yeah.
it seemed like they got, because Braxton Hicks could be so variable, but contractions are more steady, but mine were never exactly 5 minutes apart.
Right.
They were like 5 or 6 or 7 or 4 or 3
And
sometimes.
up to this point, you've never called the doctor.
No.
No, not yet. Because they said don't even bother calling until you've had them for 5 minutes apart for 2 hours.
Mhm.
So we started timing them, but it seemed so random and that we didn't really know when to call. And so when they started getting to be like 3 to 5 minutes apart, and I couldn't talk through them anymore, they were. I had to really stop and breathe in order to get through it. Then we called and they said, well, this is your first baby. We don't want you to come in too early, or you'll be here all night and stuff. So
By
So
now it's
they-
about what, 3:30?
maybe 3:30, something like that. So they said wait an hour and then call us back. And then one of the things that I really wanted to do before we went and had the baby was get a pedicure, because I know you're going to be looking at your toes the whole time you're at the hospital and stuff, and so I never got a chance since we went early. So Jason painted my toes for me that last hour.
I saw that online. That was cool.
Which was nice, because I did look at my toes a lot. And I even got comments from the nurses, your toes are cute. So-
Even though that was the first time I ever painted nails,
Yeah.
and they did not come out too good.
She couldn't see him
She
anyway,
couldn't
so
see
it
him,
didn't
yeah.
matter.
She can't bend over to tie her shoes. I
Right,
knew she
right.
wouldn't be able to see her.
Right, so you were safe.
Until well after the pregnancy.
But
Yeah.
that was good. That took my mind off it a little bit. It was funny. And then we packed up some stuff and I don't know, just kind of breathe through contractions mainly. And
We
then
woke up our friends who were staying, our British friends.
oh yeah,
They were excited and took some pictures of us leaving.
Yeah.
and then we I've never seen those pictures.
Well, they took it with their camera, so we'll
they
probably
took
get
it
them.
with them. Oh, and they're also on the video camera.
And they're on the video camera.
So then we called him back and she said, well, do you want to come in? Like, she didn't really know whether or not. I was like, I think, because they were like 3 to 5, and I was like, well, they say 5, and so if they're like less than 5, I was getting a little nervous that we were getting too close and I didn't want to, you just freak out. So I said, yeah, I think I want to come in. And so we got everything packed up and drove to the hospital, and we went out to the labor and delivery ward and to the nurse's station, and I said, I need to check in, and she said, why? What? You have a scheduled induction or something? And I was like,
First of all, would they schedule an induction at 4:30 in the morning?
maybe, I don't know. But I was like, no, I'm in labor. And she said, oh, well, go sit over there, and the triage nurse
I think
will
she was
come
just
out.
being kind of cocky because a lot of people come and they say they're in labor and they're really not.
Right.
And since she didn't see us before, or maybe she knew that we were coming
That
for
she
the
wasn't
first time.
screaming and saying,
Yeah,
yeah.
she said they kind of maybe like,
Right.
you think you're in labor but you're not. That's the kind of attitude she had.
Yeah, I was like, but it was weird. I was like, I don't really know what to say at this desk. I've never had a baby.
I'm having a
before,
baby.
yeah.
Can you see?
So
That's why I'm here.
So yeah, this is labor and delivery, right?
Oh, this is infectious disease. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, that's why. So we sat down, and then the triage nurse brought us back, and she brought us back to the most uncomfortable bed chair thing ever, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning. And
This is like a preliminary assessment.
This is the triage.
Triage,
Right.
yeah.
And so they set me up on the baby monitors and stuff, but the doctor wasn't going to be there till 7, and I don't know why the nurse didn't check me, but they wanted to wait till the doctor came in, so I sat on this bed for an hour, and they put a heparin or something
Oh yeah, one of those.
block in your wrist to where they could put an IV in it. But not the IV, just the needle, and it was right on the bone and really uncomfortable, and I couldn't really adjust myself on the bed because it pushed on that thing, and that bed was awful.
Oh.
If I had to have that baby on that bed, I would have been so miserable.
Yeah, they asked you several times, like, what level of pain are you in from 1 to 10? And then she's like, I'm a number 4, but this because I'm on this bed, it's like a 7.
Yeah. And this heparin thing is like a 6. So. So she kept coming in checking on us, but the doctor showed up at 7. Oh, I forget why she said that, but she said
And nobody did an internal.
not till 7.
Until 7.
Not till 7. We sat there for an hour because the doctor didn't come in. So is he okay?
He's fine.
Okay. His little butt sticking out. So
You're used to that, aren't you?
she said, when she put the heparin block in, because I lost my mucus plug and my contractions were so close and I couldn't breathe through them, she said, well, you're a keeper, so I'm going to put the, that's what they call you. You're a keeper. And then the doctor came in and checked me, and I was 5 centimeters, so I had done half of the dilating at home, which was good.
Yeah.
And then they moved me to the delivery room. And
Did you get one of those fancy ones with?
Yeah, it was a nice room.
Really?
Yeah,
all
all
the
the
rooms
rooms
there.
up there are really nice.
You have your own
Because they
room.
had the birthing rooms and.
Yeah.
I never had one.
No,
Oh, yeah?
it's a sterile hospital room.
Well, Julia it was a closet.
Oh,
Yeah.
At the hospital. Really
you mean it was
small
as
room.
small as a closet?
No, really, it was a closet. They were rolling stuff out
Oh, jeez.
to bring me in.
Well, I guess you didn't get a good royal treatment.
No, and I always hoped that I would get one.
Oh. Yeah, no,
You
all
go
the
to,
rooms.
on the tours and they're so pretty. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, all the rooms in Bethesda are all.
Otherwise, they divert you.
Yeah, or they divert you into the hospital.
Which we were worried about because Jack is a snow baby, and they were busy with snow babies.
In fact, when we left, they were diverting.
Yeah, when we left, they were diverting.
So I think they're reaching to the point where all the snow babies are starting to come.
Yeah, good thing he was early.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because the room was really nice. They have it all decorated like a hotel room. Only
Right,
there's,
right.
Yeah.
they have all these pictures all over the place, like these nice big pictures, and they're not just pictures for you for it to look nice, but you can slide them out, and then all this medical equipment is behind the picture. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, so they can
Yeah.
hide that kind of.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Yeah. So then it gets a little fuzzy for me a little bit at that point because the contractions are getting worse. And the nurse asked me if I wanted an epidural, and I said that I wanted to try it naturally. And they taught us the he-he-hoo breathing,
Right.
so we were doing that through the...
How are you doing through all this, Jason?
Oh, Jen answer that.
Yeah, he was coaching really well.
Yeah.
He was helping me breathe through him. He would breathe along with me, and he would remind me to breathe. But then in between the contractions, I was still having a good break. Like it didn't hurt between,
Right.
so I could rest at
Right.
that point. And then the nurse came in. No, the doctor came in and said, when the other doctor checked you, she felt your water sac was nice bulging there, and we'd like to break it and move things along. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, I guess if that's
And
what
they
you
come
think
at you with a knitting
Yeah.
needle.
So I said, well, if you think that's best, I said, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to do that? And she said, not really. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't really want to argue with her, but I had heard that breaking your water was not...
They broke every one of mine.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
luckily, they went out to go get the stuff, and
And
I
it
had a
broke?
contraction, and gush,
Oh.
water went
Wow.
everywhere. It was
Tons
so gross.
of water.
Yeah, and immediately after my contractions got
Yes.
worse, and it was, and I was like laying there in this water, and I was disgusted by it, but I was having a contraction, and I couldn't even do the hee-hee-hoo thing anymore, and I was, the nurse came in and Jason's like, her water broke. Oh no, Jason got me up to go to the bathroom so I could get out of the bed, and then I sat on the toilet and was waiting for them to like change the sheets and everything, and they brought me a new gown, and the contractions were getting worse, and
the nurse didn't want her on the toilet because apparently
Right.
that it might help induce labor.
well, they say that babies have been born on the but this is ridiculous because it was only
he was
5
so far along.
centimeters.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could have.
so far from.
Yeah, I should have been able to sit on the toilet as long as
Yeah.
I wanted at that point. But I went back to the bed and I don't know what time it was or anything.
Well, yeah, it was about 10:30 in the morning that time. By the
Maybe
time.
even earlier at that.
Okay.
I don't know. It seemed like at least
10.
an hour or so.
Yeah. After your water broke until when you decided to get an epidural, it was about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. So from
Probably about an hour, and then
9:30.
it took another half hour.
yeah, 9:30 to 10:30 you asked for the epidural, and by 11 you got the epidural.
Yeah, because it was like the breathing wasn't working. There was no relief in between. You were still crampy and yucky and not feeling well, and then you would feel the contractions start, and then your brain would be like, oh no, 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 and then it would just be horrible, and it was so painful. It was ridiculous,
Oh,
and so
Jen,
I
I'm so
didn't have
sorry.
any tools really, so I
Because
was.
we didn't go through the classes that we should have
Oh
gone
my
through.
gosh.
But we knew
I-
that going into it, and we just, I don't know why we thought we could do it, but.
Well, she came in and checked me again, and I was at 6.5, 7 centimeters or whatever, and I was laboring a little longer, and I was like, I can't do it, I want an epidural. And Jason said, well, let's let her check you again. This was a little bit of time had gone by, but not a lot. And then if you're like 9 centimeters, you know, then maybe if you keep going. And I was like, I don't want her to check me because when she checks me, it hurts worse the next
Yeah, it
contraction.
does.
So, but she did check me, and it was 7 now, so it was 6.5 to 7, and now it's 7, and then they say it's like an hour per centimeter at least or whatever. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so I was like, I can't do this for 3 more hours. No way, no way. And so we asked them to bring the guy in for the epidural, and then he came pretty quickly, but it was about a half an hour before he finally got it in, and then it was like
Nothing.
I couldn't feel any pain. Took a nap. Jason
You took a nap?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can sleep through
Yeah,
it.
she went to bed. She took a nap for a good hour probably.
Oh my
I
gosh.
went over to the couch and I worked on my computer and I took a little nap.
We were exhausted, so it
for
was nice.
3 hours on the epidural. It was that
Holy
calm.
crap.
Yeah, Jason said that's the I mean, he definitely understands getting the epidural, but
Yeah.
it took his job away.
That was what I think is the benefit of programs like the Bradley method and to me the greatest disadvantage of an epidural is I was like there, part of it. I felt really
Right,
like it was
right.
our birth. Well, I was there coaching her, breathing.
Right,
Every breath she
right.
took, I was pushing her through it, and then for several hours, for 2 hours, and then she got the epidural, and she's like,
Okay,
"I'm
good.
going to bed," and I'm like, I'm like, okay, I'll go work on my computer and do some work.
Yeah.
And it was just like night and day as far as
Yeah.
my
Nobody's
my-
working
my-
on
yeah.
it anymore. It's just
Yeah,
happening.
even Jen wasn't working on it. It's just like let's let it go.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. To Jen, I compare it to working on our house and the pain and
It's a
uncomfort
terrible comparison.
No,
that you take on when you work on your house yourself is that much more a reward when you're done because you did it and you went through the trouble. But if you hire someone and you just walk away and come back,
Next time you
you're like,
work
"Oh,
on the
that's nice."
house, I'm gonna like slug you in the gut with a sledgehammer. all
Right,
the time.
right.
Okay. The pain is not the same, but
Then you'll be like, wow, this house looks great.
but the comparison is what I'm trying to make.
Anyway,
yeah, that was-
that was good.
Yeah,
I was so glad I got
for
it.
about 3 hours or
Yeah.
3.5
So
hours.
you got to chill for 3 hours.
Yeah, not even
At
chill,
least-
but sleep.
Yeah, at least 3. It was, he wasn't born until 3. And it
Wow,
was like, yeah,
that's
but-
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really amazing.
But they say that if you get an epidural,
Yeah.
it can slow things down. Cause,
Right.
yeah, so then they might have to give you Pitocin to speed it up. And then
Well, the
there's
Pitocin.
other
yeah.
issues with Pitocin.
Yeah.
But, and when I got that epidural, they let me labor for a couple hours, and then she came in and said, I'm gonna check you again, and if you're not progressing, we're gonna give you Pitocin.
And we definitely didn't want an epidural, but we really did not want Pitocin. We probably would have pushed back. Well, we pushed back on epidural until Jen wanted it, but Pitocin we probably would have pushed back for as long as we could not to get the Pitocin.
But she just assumed that she was gonna give me Pitocin.
I think that she knew that our birth plan was no Pitocin, so she was preparing us that she was coming. To me, it's kind of like a. She wants us to negotiate someplace, so she's coming in strong, saying you need the Pitocin now because she knows.
That could be, but I think also they all seemed really, really surprised that, like all the
that's true.
that I didn't get Pitocin.
But still, she still came in strong, saying you need Pitocin. She, regardless of, she knew that we didn't want it, so she wanted to make sure that we did. She knew we needed it at some point. So.
Well, anyway, she checked me, and I was at like 9.5 centimeters, so I was progressing on my own very well. In fact, the later you get an epidural, the less likely it is that it'll slow down. So waiting till 7 centimeters was good. And then the nurse came in and said, so when you're at 10 centimeters, sometimes it still takes a little while before you feel the sensation to push, but it's good to wait for that sensation because otherwise you're pushing and it's not as effective, and the baby's not dropped as far, and you could be pushing for hours then. So she told me that, but the doctor wanted me to push right away, and so the nurse actually left behind the doctor and said she's getting close, but we're gonna wait until she feels the sensation to push before she pushes or whatever, and actually advocated for me, and then the doctor came back, I don't know, a little while later to check me again and said...
it's funny how those nurses are your best buddies.
Yeah, true, yeah. I mean, we could have got in a doula, but in this case, the nurse acted as that. She was certainly acting in our best interest.
Yeah, so the doctor came to check me again, and the nurse said she's not feeling the sensation to push yet, but she's feeling some pressure. And the doctor said, well, let me check her, and she checked me and said... well, the baby is at station blah, 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 and whatever, and so can she push now, like having this attitude with the nurse? And the nurse looked at me and said, well, that's really good. That's good progress. You could probably push now. And so I trusted her, but the doctor was all like, oh, it's either have a baby or do some paperwork. I feel like having a baby. And like, she was kind of terrible. So anyway, so I trusted that the nurse thought it was a good time to push, so we decided to push, and I pushed him out in like 4 contractions.
I couldn't believe it how like nonchalant everything was. Like it was just Jen, myself, and the nurse and the doctor, and she's like push once, twice, 3 times, and then the next contraction came, push 1, 2, 3, and then after 3 or 4 contractions, they did call in a couple other people when they knew when they saw that, and after like 2.
They knew that the next contraction was the baby was coming out, so they went and put their don't push, and they let me go through a couple contractions, put their dress on, brought all this stuff in,
But at one point after like the 2nd contraction, I was saying to the doctor, is this happening right now? I mean, I see in the movies everyone's all excited and there's so much commotion going on, and we were just relaxed sitting here, and I'm like, yeah, this is the head.
In fact, they had a mirror there. I could see.
Yeah.
But it all just happened so quickly, and so. It was like kind of like going to the doctors to get a wart removed on your finger. Yeah. It's like you go in, 2 people come and they take it off, and you're like, oh wow, that's neat. Yeah. was that easy?
Well, with the epidural.
With the epidural, yeah.
Because I could feel the pressure, but I couldn't feel any of the pain.
But once the baby came out, then things got.
Did you actually feel him coming out?
Not really. I mean,
Really?
Well, I could feel the pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that's another disadvantage of the epidural is you don't get that.
But I didn't feel the tearing or the or the sewing up.
You didn't get episiotomy?
No episiotomy, but I had a 2nd-degree tear.
Well, why didn't you get episiotomy?
Because they don't really recommend it anymore.
They actually say
unless there's a problem.
That thing, give you a little bit more room.
Yeah, but they say if they cut it,
then you're definitely gonna get one.
Well, if it tears naturally, it actually heals better. But if you cut it, then it's like such a straight. It's like a cut with the razor.
Actually, I think they cut it so it will heal better.
I don't know. I thought that.
But then you always have it, and then sometimes it's better just to take your chance.
Take your chance. Okay.
I don't know exactly.
I told him to cut it.
Huh.
Well, the tear wasn't bad. Like it's pretty typical, I guess, to a 2nd degree.
With Julia, I needed all that room.
Yeah, it is a big baby.
Wow.
So yeah, so then they got all their stuff and they brought all the stuff in that they needed to deliver the baby, and then they said, okay, next push, and push, and then
That was it.
he
Came out.
came out. Yep.
Uh,
Then I told
Oh,
him that
yeah.
I wanted to.
Well, when he came out, as soon as it came out, I was looking for one thing because we hadn't found out what the
that's
sex
right.
was in.
never, yeah.
So as soon as it came out, I'm like, we were wrong. And Jen's
Yeah.
like, it's a girl, it's a boy.
It's a boy. Like,
We
oh,
were really
really?
surprised because we
Yeah.
thought all along it was gonna be a girl.
Really?
Yeah, we totally thought.
I don't know why we had any idea what we did.
Because all those
Old wives' tales.
old wives' tales came
And
out.
I had a
indicated-
feeling it
and
was
then
a
the feeling
boy.
it was
I
a
was
girl.
a girl. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, then what part of the birth plan also was that she wanted skin to skin. Immediately the baby comes up.
But they have to do the Apgars first.
Right, they
so
do.
So they took him for just a few seconds to make
Yeah.
sure he was okay, and they put a little hat on him so he'd
Right.
be warm, and then I got to hold him on my skin for a while and
Mhm.
calm him down. And he was very clean. They did wipe him off with a towel while he was on me, but
He was very
he
clean.
was
yeah.
pretty clean for coming out of my body.
And then you had him for maybe what, a half hour or so. And then they brought him back and did some more things to him. We gave him back to you. Then we had him for another half an hour. Then they.
And
I
the
did a
kids
few more
guys
tests,
came in
yeah.
and they checked him out. And then
I
they gave
think
him back.
if we would have done it over again, I would have asked, let us have the baby have skin to skin for a good hour or two. Let us have the baby for as
And
long
then
as
you
we
can
need
take
it,
him.
and then you can take him and do the things you want to do. But I was hoping for more skin to skin and more time with the baby, because they didn't need to do all the things they wanted to do. They wanted to wash the baby. They wanted to
Right.
do the footprints, and that I think that was all the nurses wanted to do that so they could finish our room and move on to the next.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But we did get to hold him right away, which is good for the baby and helps with nursing and stuff. Well, yeah, that was it. And then we stayed in there while they were doing all that. She was down there sewing me up and
Right.
stuff too. So that was kind of weird. Like, oh, the baby, look, Jason. And somebody's still down there with
Right,
my
right.
peritoneum.
Yeah, we got some pictures like that. You see this lady working on Jen.
Right.
and Jen
Where it's like two separate parts of your
Yeah.
yeah.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we stayed there 2 nights and came home Friday.
Well, then they move you to the
That's right.
um,
The delivery room is
Recovery
one room. It's
room.
exactly the same. It just has a little more equipment.
Mhm.
Then they move you to the recovery, and they move you there for 2 nights.
and they have a little couch. They have a little couch in the recovery room that
Yeah.
pulls out.
It's like a little love seat, and if you pull on the bottom of the love seat, it pulls out, and it's like now just twice
That's
as
as
wide as the love seat was, and I'm like, that's it. I'm like, geez, I'm tall.
Yeah.
Like
So
it only goes to his knees.
It only
so
went to my
his
knees.
feet
So
were
for the first
hanging
night, my feet were hanging down. My legs were here, and I slept like that. Obviously my my back was down on the bed, but I said, I can't believe it. They would design a bed that would only fit out, maybe 4 feet. There's very few people in the world that are only 4 feet.
Yeah.
And then the next night, the nurse came in, and the nurse said, you know that falls down even further. And I'm like, no, I didn't know
No, would
that.
you like to show me?
Yeah, I'm like, thank you.